I don't know what the fuck I was doing, guys, when I was downloading the AFC West rosters. Was I smoking crack? I don't know. What was I doing? Because the Chargers are clearly the best team as it stands today after week 2 in the AFC West. And hat in hand, I was wrong. Yeah, I did not think. I thought the Slater injury would be a bigger deal than it has been. And to note, Trey Pipkins played fantastic the other night. I mean, he I don't want to say lockdown. I hate that. It's an oversimplified, reductive word or phrase for a rusher. That's like a trigger point for me when I hear somebody say he locked down, because usually there's 100 chips and that sort of thing, or the slide. There were chips. Certainly they paid attention to Max Crosby, but Pipkins did a great job. So for a team like the Chargers, who, I underestimated what they'd look like in their current form for sure, to lose Rashawn Slater and get that kind of play out of the right tackle in a big division game, that's a big check the box for me. I mean, and that's not the only reason that I think, I've made a quick about face on the Chargers. And hey, if you won't accept me on the bandwagon, that's fine. But I think they are the best team in the AFC West right now. Can't get everything right. I want to Homer Simpson myself. 2 weeks in the season, I got a lot of shit right now, including that first Monday Night Football game. I was Raiders +4, the whole thing. I thought, like everybody's going to be too high on the Chargers. Maybe people didn't see the Raiders offense play in Foxborough. Idiot. I feel like Homer Simpson, dude. And the worst part for me is I love the quarterback. Always have. Always will. Think he's fantastic. I put too much respect on Kansas City's name coming into this season. I do think they'll be in the playoffs at the end of the season, the Chiefs, and it might be hideous. It might be ugly. But they'll get Rice back, they'll get Worthy back, and they'll play better. But through 2 weeks of this NFL season, I think the Chargers are the better team. And they've been knocking on the door for years, and I took them to win the division a couple years ago, and I just chickened out this year, and I'm sorry. But what I'm not going to do is all year be married to a take, because I really wasn't that convicted in my take that they might not take the next step. So here I am, hat in hand. I'm sorry, Chargers fans. Your team is better than I thought they'd be. And I should have expected that, because Jim Harbaugh came to the NFC West, replaced Coach Singletary, took over a roster that I think a lot of people overlooked. There were a lot of veterans on that roster. It was coming off the strike shortened season, or not strike shortened season, but camp was abbreviated like greatly that year. That year we had the Hall of Fame game. Lockout happened. I was happy as a clam because I didn't want to play in the Hall of Fame game. So, he coached that team into relevancy year one with a shorter runway, and then year two had him in the Super Bowl. And I want to look back at that year, and I look at that roster as being one of the best rosters this century. Like one of the 10, 15 best rosters this century was that San Francisco team. They did not win a Super Bowl. I'll put it this way. They got to be one of the best rosters that didn't win a Super Bowl this century. And I think it's revisionist history to maybe think that we knew that coming in year two, that I knew. I was in division. I don't know if I knew how good that team would be. But of course, you look back and you're like, fuck, they got the Smith brothers. They got Navarro Bowman. They got Patrick Willis. They got players everywhere. They got offensive line, Frank Gore, Delaney Walker, Vernon Davis. They were a fucking freak show of a team. But Harbaugh unlocked it in them. And that was the year that we actually knocked Alex Smith out. I was right there, dude. I watched it up close. I was pursuing the football, and Jolon Dunbar knocked Alex Smith cold out. And then this dude that we really didn't know much about with an afro came in and just torched us. We actually ended up tying that game. But we were like, man, this fucking team might be pretty good.
The team also had Randy Moss.
The team had Randy Moss.
Safeties, Goldson and Whitner. Those guys were ballers.
They were great. My point was, I looked at this year and I was like, I just don't know if the Chargers have that kind of roster. And we're not talking about Super Bowl right now. It's week 2. But they look like the best team in the AFC West. They do. And I think the guys on defense are fantastic. I think Jesse Minter the other night, when a guy becomes a head coach, sometimes you can look back and say, hey, when did we anoint him? Like, when did the league, the viewership, like the broadcasters officially bless this guy with, like, hey, it's kind of like being knighted. You will be a fucking head coach. That's what Louis Riddick said in the fourth quarter.
Being lighted in that.
Yeah, exactly. Being like, hard to lose this motherfucker, isn't it? Pete, when I go to the gas station, I'm like, man, surprise me. I never pick the color. They always give me So anyways, I just think Jesse Minter did such a great job. Now Geno did not play well, and I think that was one of the most surprising things. Like, the reason I gave out Raiders +4, I'm sitting here hat in hand being like, sorry, Chargers fans, but I got to be honest, like, Chargers +4 didn't seem so crazy. It still doesn't seem crazy when you look at all the opportunities they had to make it a one-score game late. Geno just could not hit any of the throws. It was one of his worst games as a pro. But I think Chargers had a lot to do with that. I think Jesse Minter had a lot to do with that. They're going to miss Khalil Mack for a few weeks. Before I heard that, before I heard that, it was one of those things where I'm Googling rushers that they can trade for. I'm looking to see, because now I'm in. I don't know if you'll accept me, but I'm kind of on the bandwagon where I'm like, all right, what can we do at edge? I'm back on the fuck. I picked him a couple years ago to win the division, and I've been fighting this battle for 5 years where it's like people have been saying for years that the Chiefs are gonna take a step back and that sort of thing. And this August, I stared a fucking hole in the AFC West standings, and I just chickened out. I'll just be honest. Sometimes when you're doing something like picking a division or forecasting, the season, the respect you want to give to a team that was just in the Super Bowl, that has been in the Super Bowl the better part of the last 5-7 years, a team that won a couple in a row. It's their last dance. I didn't expect Kansas City to look this poorly out of the gate, and I certainly didn't expect the Chargers to look this good. The one part that makes it easy, when I'm married to a take, generally I really feel that way. It's really easy to divorce the take that the Chargers take a step back this year, because Justin Herbert's awesome, because we love Justin Herbert. Herbert is the classic guy you're supposed to hate. I don't know if you guys realize this, right? Like, he's kind of a movie QB. Like, he looks like a movie QB. He's tall. He's handsome, evidently. Didn't know he was, but evidently he is. He's rich. Maybe that helps. He lives in a Mediterranean climate. The fucking guy's got it going on. He's
athletic.
He's a movie quarterback.
Running around.
Yeah, he's a movie quarterback. And so if you've hated on Herbert throughout his career, it might be a you problem. I think the team is caught up. There will be stiffer tests, certainly, than the Chiefs and the Raiders. But, like, to start the season with 2 primetime games and to deliver, yeah, great hair. Herbert's got great lettuce. He looks like he's a Cabbage Patch Kid, man. He has so much lettuce, he chopped it down, dude. So he's got it all going for him. To start the season with 2 division wins in primetime, that's fantastic for them. Fantastic. So, wish I had the preview show back. But I think the Chargers look really good, and a guy like Henley at backer is a rising star. So they've got some guys like that. They had some defensive backs last year who were ahead of the curve, right? Mm-hmm. They have a receiver in QJ who fucking is coming on this year. How rare is it that you see a wide receiver for 2 years be the punchline, and then everybody's like, when he turns it on, generally they don't turn it on.
Right.
And you know what I love about it? Harbaugh, when you read quotes about his players, he's always going to pump them up, including Quentin Johnson. He pumps these guys up, and he said the other night that Derwin James is the best safety of all time. I don't want to get into these arguments, right? Because Ed Reed and Sean Taylor and, there's a host of other, I'd have to ask Ryan Clark who he thinks his favorite safety is of all time. But Derwin James, like I didn't get to analyze the game when Ed Reed played. I was playing at the tail end of his career, and I was playing college football and high school football, and I certainly wasn't watching safety play. But Ed Reed was always around the ball. You didn't have to watch safety play. Ed Reed was a cheat code. Derwin James is a fucking Swiss Army knife. He is the definition of a Swiss Army knife personified. To see him play football is to see 7-8 people play football. I mean, he is positionless. I've seen him pass rush. The other night they used him as the pick guy in a TE stunt. He was the tackle in a TE stunt, which oftentimes they ask a backer to do that off the ball. And by that, I mean the tackle goes first, the end wraps around inside. He fucking did it. He's a safety. And I put that in quotes, safety. I see him run down. I saw him run down a play where he came off the left edge. The ball hits downhill on the right edge. Genty speed bumps Gilman. And who's the guy that makes the play? I mean, he runs it down from the left edge, 10 yards down the field on a run that hits downhill off the right edge. He's playing defensive end and runs the run play down. I mean, the play he made on the ball in the end zone, it's just he's excellent in every way. He's kind of like the perfect football player. So we have glazed the Chargers and hand up. I didn't get that one right. I look at that division now and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have given the Chiefs so much respect. And certainly Denver, Reed, I know you're 1-1 and everything, Cowboy, but I don't think you feel as good as probably Chargers fans feel. I mean, like that.
Terrified.
You should be. You should be scared. You should be kissing the Chargers fans' asses like me.
Oh yeah, we're pucker up, Buttercup. And what's we thought the Raiders were going to be. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a pushover either, even though it was a tough game for them the other night. But yeah, sitting a mile high, seeing how these first 2 weeks have gone.
Yeah,
it's not going to be easy. One of the harder divisions in the NFL.
I think that's what it comes down to. Is the division is going to be a lot of fun. And the other thing about that game is it ended at 1 a.m. It ended tomorrow. It just, if you're a West Coast person, the only saving grace, if you're a Raiders fan, you did not have to stay up to 1 a.m. for that game. You stayed up till 10 p.m. your time. But for us, Raiders +4 people, that was a really ugly thing, and it affected me for 48 hours. Just my circadian rhythm's all fucked up. I got a bad take. I got a bad bet. You win the under in the early game. You got a money line parlay set up with the Bucs and the damn Raiders. Like, that's just fuck you, NFL.
And heading into week 3 next week. That's the one thing that I take solace in as a Broncos fan, because they got home at late Tuesday. They played till that late in the day, and then we have them. The Broncos have them on a shorter week. So, and I mean, you can speak to it, that turnaround. I don't even know if they go into the building on Wednesday.
Yeah,
they probably get some kind of treatment.
Yeah,
and obviously you're preparing for a team that you're going to see twice a year. Pretty consistently through the offseason. But you do have that much more time to prep for a team like that as a Bronco, and as the Broncos team, which you can take a little solace and appreciation in.
You just keep talking glass half full, okay? Because yeah, for real. But the other thing is this: I want to come back to Jim Harbaugh calling, Derwin James the best safety of all time. I asked you guys to look for glass half full quotes.
Yeah,
he's known for this.
So he hit J.J. McCarthy with the greatest Wolverine of all time. Tom Brady agreed. And then he also had words for Tom Brady. He said Tom Brady is the best to ever play the game. He even has words for Justin Herbert. He's one of the best all time. That was said last year. He said not only is he one of the best right now, but he's one of the best all time. And then Jim Harbaugh on performance coach Ben Herbert, the best I've ever seen. So he goes, the players
Players,
and the coaches.
Yeah, he does.
And
I will
hits
say this.
everybody.
You know that top 100 thing, like Chargers top or players top 100 thing, which I always say is like they don't vote on that thing in actuality. Like they just come around and beg guys to like write some names down. And here's the thing with that list. Are you imagining that NFL players are writing 100 names down? No chance. They don't know the game like that. They're so buried in what they're doing. Like it's an aggregation of like a few guys and probably what NFL Network wants. But I will say this. I think at the end of the year, Justin Herbert, if he plays like the guy who played in the regular season last year, so far this year, I mean, he hasn't been perfect. He wasn't perfect the other night. But like, let's project what he might look like on a 12-win, 11-win team.
Right.
He'll be a top 20 player in the NFL on that list. He could, at the end of this season, be that fifth guy. You know what I'm saying? The fifth guy. He might be, if they added one more bus to Mount Passmore. Right now, Mount Passmore is Mahomes. And I don't put it in this order because I think Josh Allen, I've been banging the drum of Josh Allen's the best quarterback on the planet for a year or two. Like, not because of track record, right? Mahomes has got the track record. But right now, who's playing the best quarterback on the planet? It's Mahomes and Allen, and it's of course you can't. I mean, Lamar Jackson. You could say this any year; he could be the best player on the planet. Joe Burrow, who's now out, but when he's healthy, he's kind of like the fourth bust on Mount Passmore. If they commission another stone face, it might be Justin Herbert's handsome celebrity dating, Mediterranean climate living, good lettuce having.
It would have to be a little bit higher.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And he seems like a good dude, so I'm pulling for him. I am pulling for him. So hey, I'll eat that one. Chargers are good.
Chris, before we jump to the next game, I just want to give a quick tip of the cap to the Raiders defense. Like, I just appreciate a group that, like, they kind of came into the year with nothing to lose, and that's exactly how they're playing.
Yeah.
Like this group, Adam Butler, Fotu, Jonah Laulu, all these guys disruptive along the line of scrimmage. I mean, Devin White, Jamal Adams flying around making plays. Like these guys who feel like they're kind of in their second act.
It's a lost and found.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's a fun group to watch, and any Patrick Graham coach group is going to be a well coordinated group, and I thought they were competing their asses off Monday night.
Yeah, like they're like lost toys, like in Toy Story.
Seriously,
like somebody has Jamal Adams in a trunk, and
watching like the week one tape of watching those guys making plays along the line of scrimmage, I was like, is that Devin White?
No,
like,
he's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's incredible.
No, so they haven't been terrible. I mean, obviously the chips are stacked against them a little bit. Crosby's still looking for that first sack. He was fantastic in the run game, though.
Dude, well, that's the thing, Chris. How many times over the last few years have we seen him blow plays up from the backside? I'm looking at the tight end making the backside cutoff. Cut your fucking split down.
Yeah, please.
Like, just take the air out of the gap before the play. It's crazy.
He's just so crafty, and he's so twitchy, and he gives great effort. Like, tip of the cap to Max Crosby. The game's over, and a few people are still watching, myself included. And I'm like, he just doesn't fucking quit. Now, like he's gonna. Those rushes will come, but I thought the other night Trey Pipkins did a really nice job, which is really fucking exciting. This football season, BetMGM wants to give you another chance at first touchdown scorers with BetMGM's second chance promotion. You'll get your stake back in cash if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win, which is which is my favorite part of the ad read. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Be sure to take advantage of this offer, and if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. BetMGM. Make it legendary. Now, as bad as it was to go to bed at 1 a.m., and of course you don't go to bed at 1 a.m., you go to bed at like 2:30 because I need like 90 minutes to calm down after live football game. The first game was a fantastic football game, and Baker Mayfield was driving for the win at 9:45 p.m. That should be the way it is in prime time. It felt like playoff football as much as an early season game could feel like playoff football. And I know it's only week 2, but for the Texans, it kind of feels like their back's against the wall already, right? And it kind of felt like that coming into week 2. And so I just want to say this. Tampa, you got to realize how difficult this is. Tampa watched Atlanta look for real Sunday night, and they're sitting around the hotel all day, waiting to play that football game. And you could be tied with Atlanta after all, like obviously you have the tiebreaker, but you could be 1-1 thinking, hey, fuck, we're going to get off to a 2-0 start. We're going to be first in the division in this young season. There's a lot of pressure on in this game. And it's not an NFC game. It's not one that necessarily comes back to haunt you later in the season, but these guys knew it was going to be tough to play. That is, when you play in Houston and play that defense, that is why they put big, expensive microphones on the side of the fucking field so that we can all hear what that violence feels like. There is still violence in football. Go watch the Houston Texans play. The taxmen. Petrie, Azeez Al-Shaair, who I would never want to get punched in the face by Azeez Al-Shaair because I think he has hands of stone. Okay? Trying to make that play down the seam. He's a fantastic player, but like there was a lot of stone hands in that game on both sides of the ball defensively. That game could have looked way different if guys were picking balls off that they had their hands on, including Levante David late. It was like a gift. But that defense, for as good as it is and as fun as those ends are to watch and the secondary and the whole thing, they have to stop the run. And honestly, the thing that the Bucs have, that one thing, if the Texans had that, they'd be a lot better off right now. You talk about like rolling out the season, trying to transition to a new offensive line system, new offensive line coach, new personality. Well, if you can't run the ball, it gets a lot harder on the quarterback. And, I know that broke that long run with Chubb and everything, but they can't run the ball and they can't stop the run. And I'm worried you're going to waste a fantastic defense. I mean, this defense is awesome, and the defense will keep them in the fucking dance. They've got 2 division games in a row now. They got Jacksonville, and they got Tennessee. And if they can win those 2 games, and I think they will, I think they can, they'll be 2-2 going into a big matchup with Baltimore, who has owned them. And then the real litmus test begins. So for Texans fans, I don't want to say all is lost, but it feels like the same team as last year. And that fucking sucks. It's tantalizing. You see great defensive play. You have a talented quarterback. But it looks like the attrition of playing football the way they play football is starting to add up, and his eyes aren't even right in certain scenarios. But for the Buccaneers to get punched in the mouth like that on the road, the second week in a row, getting scripted, making Houston look like they're going to score 30 points in that game early, happened last week with Atlanta first drive. Then Heck has to come in, right? The offensive line injuries they have, playing that defensive line, finding themselves down. Todd Bowles redeeming himself in the second half, the slot blitz. Levante David with the coffee house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like that's a crafty fucking group. I sit there and I watch. There was one, I don't know if you saw this, but like it was one moment where Todd Bowles, they were just talking about Todd Bowles, and Levante David was in his ear before a defensive possession. It was during an offensive possession. And I was trying to read his lips, but he was talking to him about something they need to do the next third down. It was my guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of player-coach relationship that you have on that side of the football.
Yeah.
I mean, they are cagey. They're going to miss Kalijah Kancey. You want to talk about like, hey, I don't know if they have the cap room or anything like that. I'm not a cap guy, but like, can they go out and get somebody? Greg Gaines played his ass off, but you need somebody because I think the secondary is playing pretty well. I like the young guys. I think Todd called a great game in the second half. You end up in that game getting a punt blocked. You give up a big kickoff return. You miss a field goal. Special teams has to get better. But all those things happen, and they didn't fucking blink. Second week in a row, in a loud environment, hostile environment, with an even better rush for sure than you saw against Atlanta. They go down the field, converting in key downs, and score a touchdown to win that game. They have stones. They really do. And I think they're a tough team to take on the personality of their quarterback.
Yep. Mayfield in the fourth quarter of one-score game since joining Tampa, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, 106 passer rating, plus 52 expected points added. That's the best in the NFL.
The guy's clutch. Guy's fucking clutch. And Tampa's roster is better this year, man. Winning these games is good for them. Remember the last time they played Houston at Houston, I think that game was like 51-50.
39-37.
It felt like 51-50 to me.
Yeah. No, it was a high Stroud hit Tank Dell for a touchdown with 6 seconds to go.
And so, like for Tampa to be able to win different ways, win these low-scoring games. Last week's game was a pretty low-scoring game through most of it. I think last year they won one game where they scored less than 21 points. I think it was Detroit, 2016. They're going to have to win some low-scoring games early in this season at times because they don't have Wirfs back. And I don't know what's going to happen with Gedeke. And the receivers, Godwin's going to be a little bit. But Ibuka's a stud. And this group is really resilient. So, tough team. I think Houston will be okay, but the clock has to start now. You got to win. You got to win this weekend. It is early for a must-win, but boy, does it feel like a must-win in fucking Houston. You got to get it done. I'm a little disappointed in their play calling down on the damn goal line. We were just talking about this on Inside the NFL podcast with RC and Ocho. I mean, not just the fact that everybody in the building in America knows your sprint left or right when you line up in that formation, but you are sprinting a right-handed quarterback left.
Right.
Well, like, what are we doing? And for Tampa, 2 big goal line stands. Well, not goal line stands, short yardage stands. One a goal line stand this week, the other on fourth down early in that game versus Atlanta. They don't care what you throw at them. This is a resilient football team. So they will miss Kancey. Who are the candidates if you are looking to replace him via trade? Anybody in the chat? I would think you start looking at the problem this year is everybody thinks they're good. There's only a couple teams that know they're not good. Miami's one of them. Listen to Mike McDaniel talk at the podium. He's going to go to Mykonos early this year, and I hate that for him because I think he's going to make somebody really happy at his next stop. They've got some studs. Certainly, if anybody's looking for an edge guy, they've got 2 guys you could trade for in Phillips and Chubb. I don't know what Zach Sealer's deal is, but people are going to be looking at that roster like a yard sale. So
yeah, Sealer would fit under the cap. Adam Butler, another guy we saw Monday night. He would be a value add for them. Malik Collins is another one, Chris. He's affordable. If anybody hasn't been watching the Browns, check out his pressures cut up against the Ravens. I forget who was on our show, Chris. We had a defensive lineman on who called Malik Collins your favorite pass rusher's favorite pass rusher. And that's how he's playing. He's got some pretty good rushes on tape. One more name for you to consider is a guy who's playing great ball right now, would be expensive. I'm not sure if the team would let go of him, but Jeffrey Simmons would be, in my mind, again, he's pricey.
Woo!
But this is one that's done with a hypothetical NFC title game against Philly in mind.
I mean, it's done with a. You think you're like a Super Bowl team, make that move,
right?
And
why wouldn't you if you're the Bucs right now?
Well, you think about the teams you have to beat in the NFC. You talked about the Eagles. You'd be an interior guy up on them. You've kind of matched up well against them. Not kind of, you have over the last couple of years. If you talk about playing the Packers, I think at full strength you feel okay about your offensive line when Wirfs gets back and that sort of thing. They have the weapons. They're down Jaden Reed. I think potentially if you are looking at bolstering the interior of that offensive line, it definitely makes you match up better with either of those teams, because you talk about like having to stop the run and getting after guys in the pass. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons next to Vita Vea. And this is total. This is fantasy like GM shit. So like we're just throwing shit at the wall, but I don't mean to get y'all too excited in Tampa, but that could be fun. I don't think they're going to let Jeffrey Simmons go. We were just in that building. They love the guy.
I don't want them to do that to Denard.
Oh, it's also, you can't trade away your franchise quarterback's fucking fishing buddy.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's like, yeah. So while I like the idea, I just don't think Tennessee would. I like the Sealer idea.
Yeah.
I like the Sealer idea. Yeah. So that was Monday night. I know I'm a little bit late getting that to you, but we'll be a little earlier on these Wednesdays in the future. Doubleheader's fine by me. 10 p.m. is totally fucked up. And yeah, I wanted to do some film on these Wednesday podcasts like every other content creator on the fucking internet, but the NFL is too greedy and doesn't want to let me use film. Is that because I'm decent at it? Or is it because you think the podcast is really popular? I'm seeing podcasts bigger than mine that use film. NFL, dude, I don't need you. I don't need you. If you don't want to help me, I don't need you. I wish I played in the damn NBA. A players' league. Fucking NFL has me hot on that shit. I know we're not getting it. Every time I bring it up, it makes the chances even less and less. But just know, I'm looking around and I'm putting 2 and 2 together. There's something. You got a problem with Green Light Podcast, Roger. I don't know what's going on with you. We should have film on this fucking podcast. Don't you want to educate people?
Yep.
Disappointing. See you tomorrow afternoon for the Stanford Steve and Macon show.